to a podcast. I won't go into details what podcast it is. Very interesting. It kind of tweaked my curiosity. And anyway, in this broadcast, it was talking about Russia and its military buildup coming in the near future, very real near future. And when you look at things that are happening in the world right now, especially in the Middle East, you see Israel completely taking out Hamas. Now, I did a video last September. Around the feast days, I did a video, and I said the obvious, that Israel would take out Hamas first, and then they'll take out Hezbollah, and then they'll get into it with Iran, and that would kickstart World War III. And that's basically what it is. Now, in Ezekiel 38, as you read about the nations that are involved in Ezekiel 38, you notice something peculiar. He says, God says that, well, Ezekiel's the writer, but God says that Israel comes, or rather Russia comes as a protector to those who they are with. So Israel comes with a few nations, Islamic nations, and one of them is Iran, and they're coming as a protector. So that means that Israel got into it with Iran. Now, there is a guy named Bill Salas, good guy, awesome teacher, and he had wrote a few books, and he wrote one about Elam. Elam is a military installation who happens to make nuclear bombs. Now, if I'm not mistaken, it's either, I don't know why I get these two mixed up, but Jeremiah 49 or Isaiah 49. I can't remember. I think it's Jeremiah 49. It talks about Elam, and Elam being a wasteland, and the things that the chemicals from Israel attacking Iran goes all the way around the world. At least that's my interpretation. So it forces people to leave Elam and not live there. Anyway, you can see that happening, and like I said before, in my videos prior to years ago, where I said I believe that things will escalate in the spring. Well, I'm sorry, things will begin in the spring and escalate into the fall. Whatever year Jesus Christ comes back, I'm not saying it's this year, I'm just saying, whenever year Jesus Christ comes back, it'll start in the spring and escalate in the fall. And you guys know how I feel about the Feast of Trumpets. Of course, it doesn't matter, really. It's what the Bible teaches. If that's the case, then we have to stay in order. If God is a God of order, it'll be Passover, unleavened bread, first fruit, and Pentecost. Then there'll be a long pause. That's the gap. That's the only gap theory I know of. And then the Feast of Trumpets will take over, and Atonement and Tabernacles. Now, the three last feasts will be different from the first four feasts. There will be a gap. So the Feast of Trumpets, the 100 trumpet blast and the last trump, I believe, on the Feast of Trumpets will be the rapture of the church. whatever year it is. Now, what I see right now, after listening to a lot of these guys been saying this for years, it's going to crash, it's going to crash, it's going to crash. It didn't crash, but it had the evidence of a crash a long time ago. So that if these guys were saying that the stock market and the world's economies are going to crash 10, 15 years ago, how bad it's going to get. Yeah, I remember watching videos on YouTube, even when YouTube first came, the crash is coming, the crash is coming. After 2008, the crash is coming, the crash is coming. They were talking about the crash coming immediately after 2008, so that should tell you how bad this one's going to be. Well, you see everything that us Bible prophecy buffs and watchmen and teachers have been talking about for ages coming to fruition all at one point. And you see it escalating all over the world. You see wickedness happening all over the world, and everything's just coming together all at the same time. So my best guess is if things keep going the way they are, then there's probably a good chance that we're going to see a major conflict in the Middle East between Israel and Iran, possibly by August, September timeframe. And then that gives room for Ezekiel 38 and 39, some type of a Russian invasion of Israel. Now, I can't be dogmatic on the timing of that war. I could say this: I've always believed that war would bring on the Antichrist. And that would be prior to the Antichrist coming. So I always kind of thought, I could be wrong with these things, I don't know. I've always thought that Ezekiel 89 will go simultaneously with the rapture of the church. So it happened at the same time. And the reason why is because of shock factor. Now, you see Donald Trump, and he's going through all of this stuff, and they put him in trial, and he's found guilty, and now they consider him a felon, and they tried to impeach him so many times, and as you look at President Biden, as he cannot continue on. There's no way. And right now, if the elections were held today, Trump would win. But why is it that the Democrats are not running anything? Why aren't they running ads and doing their thing? Because they know something's coming. They know something's coming. The majority of the population don't know, but they know something's coming. There is no way that they're going to let Donald Trump get in office. Now, if they decide they're going to kill him off, or they decide they're going to set off, neutron bombs in some major cities, or they decide that, civilization is going to collapse. There is no way that they're going to let Donald Trump win the presidency. So I'm going to give y'all a timeline. I don't know for sure. I'm not going to sit here and say that, I'm certain that, Jesus is coming back this year. I don't know for sure. But I'm going to say this. If he was coming back this year, that timeline will be an interesting September. And an interesting October for those who are here. And an interesting rest of the 7-year period. I don't think there's a gap theory. I don't know what people get this stuff from. I think we get bored. If I was the devil, I would not wait a whole year to bring in my Antichrist right after the rapture of the church. Why would I do that? Use common sense. I mean, look at Proverbs. Proverbs tell us to use our brains. Why would I wait a whole year to bring in my Antichrist? After the rapture of the church, after the world has gone mad, after millions of people missing and vanishing, babies are all gone, every single baby, not just saved people's, every single baby under the age of accountability is gone. If I was the devil, remember what's his name? If I was the devil, what is that guy's name? If I was the devil, would I wait a whole year to bring in my Antichrist? No. You know what I do? Let's say Feast of Trumpets. Let's just say Feast of Trumpets this year was let's just play with me here, humor me. Feast of Trumpets, October 4th. We say the last day of the Feast of Trumpets, right? October 4th, going into October 5th. Rapture of the church happened on a Friday. Jeez. When would I bring in my Antichrist? Probably in about 3 weeks. You don't need no time. They've already been working on this thing for years. They don't need a whole year to bring in the Antichrist. I think I told y'all who I think he would be. I don't know who he is, but I believe nobody believes. Listen, folks, the gospel is already screwed up as it is. So everything's. I mean, what I mean by that is the message of the gospel. A lot of people go on and they kind of give their opinions about certain things, even me, and you know, people kind of look at it. You're strange when you say certain things. Well, people don't even realize that the whole entire message of the gospel is completely obliterated. The same message that Jesus left is not the same message that was preached today. Shouldn't that get you in a lot of trouble? If the gospel that Jesus preached and the apostles preached is not the same gospel, shouldn't that get you in trouble? So when people say stuff like, "Oh, the rapture was made up," I can read the Bible. I mean, what part of I can't read my own Bible and still have that same? Well, you say, well, Darby taught that. Well, Darby didn't get in a time machine and come personally to teach me nothing. Darby didn't teach me the rapture. I can read it in the Bible. I don't, like I said, if I was the devil, I would tell you Darby made it up. And most people would believe it. Anyway, so here's my timeline. There's going to be a lot of things happening. I could tell somebody's messing with the thing. I mean, because that's some hell of some aneurysms. I know human nature, and human nature is, yeah, I can tell with people messing with the videos and stuff, and the numbers go down, and there's a response in the chat room, but the response is not matching the number of people watching, and it's kind of annoying. It's not so much I'm bothered anymore because I know the word that I preach is not going to get a lot of people, but it's still annoying how it's just annoying when you're talking. I already know the door is going to close pretty soon on a true message anyway. I'm just kind of like talking to you guys about Bible prophecy because I don't really talk about Bible prophecy as much. But timeline. So you have an interesting setup as far as the months is concerned. You have a very interesting setup because now, what's the date today? June. So June will be over before you know it. Then you're just dealing with July, August, September. Interesting 3 months, to say the least. This could be, unless we go into next year, This could be the most interesting months for the world ever. And obvious, I'm talking to y'all about the obvious. It's already been talked about. Everything I say has already been talked about thousands of times. I just got my own twist on it. But everything that y'all hear, other Bible prophecy watchmen and teachers have already talked about. So it's obvious what I'm saying. So Hezbollah will be taken out in the next couple of weeks, months. And it's going to garner a response from Iran. Iran is already ticked off by a few things, and y'all probably know what it is. You know, they blame Israel for what happened about a week or two ago with their leader. They're just not going to come out and say it. So you'll see that happen probably between now and September. You see Iran get into it with Israel, and Israel cannot risk Iran not having a nuclear bomb right now. So they have to think about it that way. They have to take Iran out completely. They already gonna take Hezbollah out. They're gonna completely obliterate them. But we're forgetting other countries around Israel too. We know that they're in kind of a peaceful atmosphere with Egypt. But you still got Syria, you still got Yemen, you still got other countries. Iraq fired some bombs into Israel a few times, but it's not Iraq's government. It's factions and groups in Iraq that Israel's still going to have to go in there and take them out. So they want to take out everybody. Remember when a couple of years ago, and Netanyahu was still prime minister, and he said we got to cut off the head. Remember that? Just remember that. Remember Netanyahu was saying he want to cut off the head, and when he was explaining it, even his cabinet members or his generals would explain cut off the head means cut off the leaders. So keep that in mind as we go forward. Now, I believe that the Antichrist will show up. The Antichrist will show up. He could show up just before the rapture, but nobody's going to actually figure it out because everybody's looking for him to come from the west, and in fact, he comes from the east. That's where people are going to miss him. They're also going to miss the organization that he comes from. Say, why would they miss that? Isn't it Brexit? No, it's not Brexit. Brexit has nothing to do with the old Roman Empire. I know a lot of y'all disagree with that, but it's not Brexit. Remember, you guys, and I've done it before in my lifetime before, when the European Union back in the 80s, in 86, they added the last member, the 11th member was Spain. And a lot of us thought that the King Juan Carlos of Spain was the Antichrist. It's easy. I mean, of course, we're human, and we're gonna do stuff like that. But I believe that Brexit is not it either. Brexit. Remember, we were looking for 10 members, and Brexit went all the way past 10 members. Yeah. So it's not Brexit. I'll tell you who it is, and you're not going to believe it until you figure it out, until it happens. I believe that the Mediterranean Union, started by Nikolai Sarkozy in 2008, is that union. It will probably get a facelift and some muscles. Just like the UN has no muscles. The UN is very popular. It has influence, but it's not really that great of an organization yet. Now, I believe when Israel gets into it with Iran, they will also have a war with Syria. And Syria will be stupid enough to use biological weapons, because they got them. And Israel's going to get ticked off, and they're going to drop a nuke right on Damascus. And they're going to kill a lot of people, and they're going to tick off a lot of people. But Israel's going to kill off the leadership of Syria. That's where I think the Antichrist is coming from. I believe that they're going to put in charge of Syria a pretty boy, a good-looking guy, look like he could be on GQ magazine. Strong character. He's going to either be in the 60s or in his 30s. You say, why you say 60s or 30s? Well, the devil wants a copycat, but he might even just say, okay, instead of 30, I'm going to do 60. 60 years old seems like a good area where he can bring the Antichrist in. He could be 30, but I think he would be too young still, unless he's just a genius. So I'm leaning towards 60 in the 60s, 60 years old, 60. If he's 30, then that's going to be a pretty young Antichrist. A lot of people think that Satan has to copycat everything Jesus does. He doesn't have to. See, if you read Daniel chapter 11, it says that the Antichrist comes with a few people. So when he's placed in leadership, he's placed in leadership with a few. So you know how some people are elected president or placed in office as a king? Well, the Antichrist will be put in charge by a few. I think it'll be a few globalists that will put him in charge. Wrong answer. And then it says he tries to destroy the mighty man. You think he's going after the New World Order guys? Don't forget, Satan is his father. So he knows these New World Order guys. He knows their address. Have you ever thought about that? Where he says in Daniel chapter 11 and Daniel chapter 12, he shall destroy the mighty man. Why would you even put that on there? He's not talking about, he could be talking about regular politicians, but I think he's talking about the people who put him in charge. He's getting rid of those guys, one by one. The devil's their father, so he knows their address. So the Antichrist will be the leader of Syria. Now, I don't know what type of forum the leadership would be in Syria. I don't know if he'll be a prime minister, if he'll be a prince that turns into a king. A monarch, because Syria used to have a monarchy. And if a neutron bomb hits Syria, they might go back to the monarchy. That's why the Bible says the princess shall come. And he calls him the king. A king shall arise. But if the Antichrist is 30 years old, so more power to it. He'd be young. The very youngest person I've ever seen besides the youngest, greatest leader I've ever seen besides Jesus. And it's coming. Fast track it. And we're there. We're there. Timeline. Let me finish off my timeline. Antichrist confirms the covenant on tabernacles or close to it. Remember, it says God with us. So they think that he's a God. So that's when he conforms the covenant with many for 1 week. Now, it could go into November if it's this year. But if it goes into November, then it messes up the time clock. So he would have to immediately come in. When people say it's going to go, the gap theory, that could be happening. I ain't the smartest person in the world. I don't own the patent on Bible prophecy. I just say it doesn't make any sense. If I was Satan, I would, as soon as the rapture happens, I would take the shock factor and use it. Remember the people who were running Iraqi war, they were talking about shock and awe. So these guys already know what shock and awe mean. I wouldn't wait a whole year to bring in a tribulation period. That won't make no sense. They have something at the UN this year that has to do with peace, the peace agreement. And it's like a pact with many. They even use the same words, pact with many. So the Antichrist is going to confirm a covenant with many. It's not even really a peace agreement inside of what Daniel chapter 29 of Daniel chapter 9 verse 27 is talking about. That's not even a peace agreement. That's a covenant. I think it's a worldwide constitution for 7 years. And everybody is agreeing to follow the rules. So what everybody's agreeing to follow the rules, right? I think he will sign some type of a peace agreement, a two-state solution, and will bring in the temple. You know, I saw somebody on Facebook that says, don't be surprised if, and I know what angle he's coming from. Don't be surprised if what you guys been taught for years don't come true and with Bible prophecy. I tend to agree with him, but I disagree with him about 90%. Because the reason why I disagree with the guy, because I know where he's going with it. I've been watching these guys for ages. I know what he's going with it. And he don't believe in the pre-trib rapture and stuff like that. But that's accurate. You know, you see the guy that I have on my website. I mean, on my channel. Mike. His name is Mike Pravero. I don't like his eschatology at all, but I can tell you right now, his gospel is probably right on. I don't change my eschatology. I've had visions of the rapture, so I believe in the pre-tribulation rapture. I mean, I had real visions when my whole body takes off and goes into heaven, and I wake up and still in the bed. Those type of visions and prophecies and things like that. So I know I'm supposed to be here, and I know I'm waiting for the rapture of the church. That's not something, you know, I don't need somebody to tell me what Darby made that up. Darby, I don't know Darby. I got a Bible in my house. Why don't people think? Why don't people think that way? Such and such made up the Trinity. Well, I don't know such and such. Just like the law. You guys follow the law. You guys teach the law. I don't even know what's in the law. I know circumcision. That's it. I mean, why? I mean, to me, I'm just a simple-minded person. Why am I defending myself against somebody who accused me of following the law when I don't even know what's in the law? That'd be ignorance, wouldn't it? I'd be following the law out of ignorance because I don't know what's in the law. So they try to protect themselves so they don't have to follow what Jesus says. So they blame you for following. They blame you that you follow the law, which I have no idea what's in the law. Anyway, God bless you guys. I just wanted to come on since I didn't have access to my office or my bedroom, whatever you want to call it, / But I do believe, you know, we're right at that precipice of time where the world doesn't see it coming. They're not going to see it. They just going to keep on moseying on. You know, it says that just in the days of Noah, man, we're eating and drinking and giving in marriage until Noah went into the ark and the door was shut. And just in the days of Lot, man, we're carried on business as usual. Hey, God bless you guys. You guys have a wonderful night. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. God bless.